Welcome to Monk's Temple. Find a place where you can be comfortable, and allow the sounds around you to soften into the background. Let your breath arrive, and let it leave, without any need to change its rhythm. We are about to begin a long, quiet journey into the heart of something vast. It is not a journey to solve a puzzle, but to appreciate a tapestry, a living, breathing tapestry woven across centuries by human hearts seeking peace. And our thread into this tapestry begins, not with a grand idea, but with a simple, universal gesture, the act of reaching out. You see this gesture everywhere. A hand placing a ripe orange before a statue. Lips moving silently over beads in a crowded train. A forehead touching the earth before a gleaming reliquary. From the outside, it looks like prayer. It looks like a request sent upward. And so, the question naturally forms. If Buddhism teaches there is no supreme judge, no divine architect of the universe, then who is possibly listening? The answer is not found in a theological ledger. It is found in understanding the nature of the reach itself. It is found in the beautiful, complex, and deeply human architecture of relationship that Buddhism built, not upon the bedrock of a single divine throne, but upon the open, fertile ground of awakened potential. Tonight, we will walk through this architecture, room by room, story by story. And we will begin in the most intimate room of all, the room of human examples. Long before a mind can grasp the formless truth of emptiness, it seeks a face. It seeks a story it can hold on to. It needs a guide who has walked the path before and left not just footsteps, but a handprint. In Buddhism, these are the bridges. The human beings, or beings who were once human, whose lives became so luminous, so saturated with wisdom or compassion, that they now serve as points of contact. They make the intangible tangible. I remember visiting a small, weathered temple in the hills of Ladakh many years ago. The air was thin and cold. Inside, it was dark, save for the butter lamps flickering before a wall of clay statues. But in a small side chapel, there was something else. It was a robe, neatly folded under glass. It was simple, coarse, saffron-colored cloth. The monk tending the lamps saw me looking. It belonged to the old Lama of this valley, he said. He died 30 years ago. He wasn't a famous scholar. He was just, kind. People say his kindness was so steady it was like a mountain. He pointed to where pilgrims had placed small stones around the case. When they miss him, or when they are afraid, they come here. They don't ask him for things. They just sit with the robe. They remember his face. It reminds them that kindness like a mountain is possible. That robe was not a magic garment. It was a bridge. It connected those who felt adrift in their own fears to the living memory of equality, unshakable kindness, made manifest in a human life. The prayer here was silent. It was the prayer of presence, of remembering. The bridge did not carry pleas to a god, it carried hearts back to their own capacity for steadiness. This phenomenon scales to the revered masters known across the world. In the forests of Thailand, the teachings of monks like Ajahn Chah are alive, but so is his presence. You will see his photograph in taxis, in noodle shops, in government offices. I was once in a chaotic Bangkok traffic jam, the air thick with heat and honking. The driver, a man with a face tired from long hours, glanced at a small, faded image of Ajahn Chah stuck to his dashboard. He reached out, touched it briefly with his fingertips, and took a deep, deliberate breath. It was a gesture that took less than a second. It wasn't a plea for the traffic to clear. It was a touchstone. A momentary reconnection to a quality of calm acceptance. The master, through his image, became a bridge the driver crossed 100 times a day, traveling from the frustration of the immediate to the peace of a wider perspective. Then there are the relics. Perhaps the most profound bridges of all. After the Buddha's cremation, his bodily remains were divided. A tooth, a bone fragment, a piece of hair. These were enshrined in great monuments called stupas. The most famous is the Temple of the Tooth in Kandy, Sri Lanka. Thousands come daily. They offer frangipani flowers, their scent thick and sweet. They walk in slow, mindful circles around the shrine. The relic itself is never seen, hidden in nested caskets. So what are they connecting with? Not a piece of calcium. They are connecting with tangibility. Enlightenment is a staggering, almost inconceivable idea. But a bone. A bone is real. A bone belonged to a man who walked, who got tired, who sat under a tree and woke up. The relic is forensic evidence that awakening happened here, in this world of flesh and bone. It collapses 2,500 years of history into a single, potent point of contact. The prayer near a relic is not to the bone. It is through the bone to the possibility it represents. It whispers, if it was possible for him, in a body like mine, then perhaps it is possible for me. A bridge can also be an ongoing story. In Tibet, Padmasambhava, the 8th century master who brought Buddhism to the land of snows, is not a dead historical figure. He is Guru Rinpoche, the precious master, a living presence. He is said to have attained a rainbow body, his physical form dissolving into light. For practitioners, he is accessible. On the 10th day of every lunar month, offerings are made, lamps are lit, prayers are recited. His image, with his piercing eyes and gentle, knowing smile, is everywhere. He is a bridge that did not end, it simply became less solid, more luminous. People share stories of feeling his guidance in moments of despair. He functions as a timeless teacher, a bridge across centuries. These bridges answer a deep human need, the need for kinship on the path. We are inspired by examples. We are comforted by proof. The abstract goal of awakening can feel like a distant star. But a teacher's robe, a master's photograph, a fragment of bone, these are like fires lit along the path. We are not praying to the fire as our destination. We are warming our hands by it, drawing courage from its light, and remembering that others have walked this cold night before us and found their way. And it is here, by the light of these bridges, that we can begin to see the wider landscape. We see that these human examples did not point to themselves as the final answer. They pointed beyond. They pointed to qualities, boundless compassion, fierce wisdom, unwavering peace. And Buddhism, in its profound understanding of the human heart, gave these qualities not just instructions, but forms. It gave them bodies, names, and realms. It created a pantheon not of gods, but of perfect specialists. But that is the next part of our journey. If the idea of these bridges, these human and near-human connections, resonates with you, consider subscribing to Monk's Temple. By subscribing, you simply leave a light on in the window, a signal that you'd like to continue exploring these pathways together. For now, let's pause here, by this first, quiet fire of human example. Let us continue. Having sat for a moment by the warm, human fire of bridges and examples, let your gaze now lift. Look beyond the circle of firelight. Out there, in the vastness, are not just individual guides, but entire constellations of awakened qualities. Buddhism, in its majestic compassion, did not leave us with only memories of great beings. It gave the highest aspirations of the heart a place to live. It built mansions for mercy, hospitals for healing, universities for wisdom. It created what we might call the compassionate responders. And to understand them, we must first feel a very human ache. The ache for a specific kind of help. Imagine you are facing a fear so sharp it steals your breath. Or a grief so heavy it bends your spine. Or an illness that medicine can name but not cure. In these moments, the abstract philosophical truth, that all things are impermanent and empty of self, can feel like a sheet of ice, beautiful but impossibly cold to the touch. The heart, in its raw urgency, does not cry out for a concept. It cries out for a presence. It seeks a face that understands, a hand that specializes in precisely this kind of brokenness. This is where we meet the bodhisattvas. A bodhisattva is a being who has reached the very cliff edge of complete enlightenment. One more step, and they would cross over into the boundless peace of Buddhahood, free from all cycles of birth and death. But they pause. They turn. They look back at the world of suffering, and they make a vow that echoes across time. I will not enter final nirvana until every single being, down to the last blade of grass, is free. They are the ultimate altruists. They are not gods who never knew struggle, they are beings who have mastered it so completely that they dedicate their mastery to the rescue of others. And they become specialists. In the grand, aching clinic of human suffering, each bodhisattva runs a specific department with infinite skill and compassion. Let us meet a few, not as statues, but as the responsive energies they are known to be. First, Avalokiteshvara. Known as Guanyin in China, Kannon in Japan, Chenrezig in Tibet. The name means, the one who hears the cries of the world. The iconography tells you everything, sometimes with 1,000 arms, each hand holding a different tool, a book, a lotus, a rope, a sword, and in each palm, an eye. This is compassion that is not a passive feeling, but an active, all-seeing, all-skilled responsiveness. No sob is too muffled, no anguish too hidden, that it is not seen and heard. I knew a woman named Lena, a midwife in San Francisco. Her work was beauty and terror, ushering new life into the world, often in the middle of the night. She was also a dedicated practitioner. One night, a delivery turned critical. The mother was exhausted, the baby's heartbeat faltering. In the sterile, tense brightness of the delivery room, amid the beeping machines and hushed, urgent voices, Lena did something instinctive. As she worked, her own breath synchronized with the mother's, and in her mind, she wasn't just reciting medical protocol. She was silently, steadily repeating, Namo Guanyin Pusa. Namo Guanyin Pusa. She told me later she wasn't asking for a miracle. I was calling for the quality of listening, she said. I needed to hear not just the monitors, but the unspoken fear in the mother's eyes. I needed my hands to be not just skilled, but held by a compassion bigger than my own fear. I was, in a way, asking to become the ear that hears the cry. For her, Guanyin was the archetype of attentive, fearless compassion. She was not praying to an external savior, she was tuning her entire being to the frequency of compassionate presence. The crisis passed, mother and child safe. And Lena felt that her skill and her prayer had been two strands of the same thread. Then there is Tara, the swift savior. If Avalokiteshvara hears all cries, Tara is famed for her immediate response. She is the embodiment of active, fearless compassion that moves now. Her mantra is often called the mantra of urgent rescue. I learned of her not from a scripture, but from a story told by a friend who had trekked in the Himalayas. Her guide, an elderly Sherpa named Norbu, carried a small, well-worn image of green Tara in his coat pocket. When asked about it, he told of a time decades prior when an avalanche had caught his team. In the white, roaring chaos, tumbling and disoriented, he said he didn't think of his family or his life. He said one phrase, the name of Tara, erupted from him. In that moment, he said, his panic didn't vanish, but it found a center. A single, vivid point of green light in his mind's eye, a feeling of being held by a fearless mother. He survived, dug out by others. For Norbu, Tara was not a distant goddess. She was the immediate, protective reflex of a mind trained in devotion. She was the swift answer to the sudden, overwhelming, now, of terror. Another is Kitagarbha, known as Jizo in Japan or Dizang in China. He is the bodhisattva of the hell beings and the most lost souls. His vow is staggering in its commitment. I will not attain Buddhahood until the hells are emptied. He willingly descends into the deepest, darkest pits of suffering, realms fueled by hatred, violence, and cruelty, to rescue beings trapped there. He is often depicted as a simple, humble monk, sometimes with a staff to shake the gates of hell. In Japan, you will see stone Jizo statues along roadsides and in temples, often wearing little red bibs and hats. They are the protectors of children, especially those who have died. Parents will dress these statues, a tender, heartbreaking gesture of care, trusting that Jizo is holding their little one, offering comfort in the afterlife. I witnessed a profound example of this in a quiet corner of a Kyoto temple garden. An elderly Japanese man was carefully tying a new, hand-knitted red scarf around a small Jizo statue. His movements were slow, reverent. Through a translator, he shared that he did this every month for his brother, who had died as a young soldier in the war, far from home, likely in fear and anger. I cannot change his death, the man said, his voice soft. But I can ask Jizo to find him, wherever he is in the darkness, and be kind to him. It is my way of being an older brother, still. His prayer was not for personal gain. It was an act of transference. It was taking his enduring familial love and entrusting it to a being whose specialty is navigating the darkest places with a lamp of unwavering dedication. It transformed helpless grief into an active, compassionate intention. There is also Manjusri, the bodhisattva of wisdom, who wields a flaming sword that cuts through ignorance and illusion. Students often pray to him before exams, not merely to pass, but to cut through confusion and see the essence of things. And Vajrapi, the embodiment of the power of all Buddhas, representing the fierce, energetic determination needed to break our most stubborn habits. What is truly happening when people pray to these bodhisattvas? They are engaging in a supreme form of mental and emotional alchemy. They are relating to compassion itself, to wisdom itself, to swift action itself. By chanting Guanin's name, you are tuning your own heartstrings to vibrate with the sound of compassion. By visualizing Tara's green light, you are cultivating the qualities of fearless, immediate care within your own nervous system. By calling on Jizo for a lost loved one, you are participating in the vast project of universal liberation, directing your own limited human love into the care of an infinite, dedicated rescuer. The Bodhisattvas are the ultimate, skillful means. They are forms created by wisdom to train the heart. A child afraid of the dark is not comforted by a lecture on the physics of light. They are comforted by a night light shaped like a friendly star. The Bodhisattva is the night light for the human heart afraid of the dark of suffering. You relate to the star-shaped light, you talk to it, you trust it, until one day you understand, in your own direct experience, the nature of light itself. The form guides you to the formless. But the architecture of care has more layers. There are beings who guard the gates, who provide the fierce protection needed to walk the path at all. And there are the supreme architects, the Buddhas themselves, who represent not just a quality, but a complete, perfected realm of awakened reality. But that is for the next part of our journey. For now, let this settle. The prayer to a bodhisattva is less a request and more a resonance. It is the heart learning to sing in the key of compassion, until it realizes it is the source of the song. Let us continue, and go deeper. We have sat by the human fires of bridges, and we have felt the resonant call of the bodhisattvas, those compassionate responders. Now, let us consider the path itself. It is not always a sunlit meadow. Sometimes it is a narrow trail along a cliff face, with storms howling and unseen obstacles in the dark. The heart, even filled with compassion's melody, still knows fear. It needs to feel protected. It needs to know that the path, however difficult, is guarded. This brings us to a different kind of presence in the Buddhist world. Meet the protectors, the Dharmapalas. If the bodhisattvas are like divine physicians and rescue workers, the protectors are the fearless guardians, the spiritual security force. Their appearance is often shocking. Wrathful, fierce, adorned with skulls and flames, standing atop demons. To the untrained eye, they look like monsters. But their wrath is not the wrath of anger or hatred. It is the wrath of compassion. It is the fierce love of a mother bear, the precise strike of a surgeon's scalpel. It is compassion that recognizes some obstacles cannot be whispered away, they must be met with a power that matches their intensity. These beings are not Buddhas, nor are they bodhisattvas. They are powerful entities, often originally local gods or spirits of a place, who took solemn, binding oaths to protect the Buddhist teachings and those who sincerely practice them. They are like loyal, mighty generals, still subject to the cycles of karma themselves, but oath-bound to a righteous cause. They deal with the tangible, the immediate, the gritty obstacles, both inner and outer. Consider Mahakala, a primary protector in Tibetan Buddhism. He is depicted as dark blue or black, with 6 arms, a crown of skulls, often standing atop a prostrate figure representing ignorance and self-cherishing. He is formidable. His energy is not gentle, it is invincible. Why such a form? Because the obstacles he is invoked to clear, deep-seated hatred, powerful delusions, formidable external adversities, are themselves terrifying. You cannot gently suggest to a raging forest fire that it please stop. You must meet it with a greater, focused force. The terrifying form is a skillful means to give the practitioner's mind a symbolic weapon against their own inner and outer terrors. I have a story from a man named Daniel, a community organizer working in a neighborhood plagued by gang violence and political neglect. He was a Buddhist, and the despair and anger he faced daily were beginning to poison his own resolve, turning his compassion into a bitter cynicism. His teacher, seeing his burnout, introduced him to a simple practice related to a Dharma protector. It was not about asking the protector to strike down his enemies. The instruction was this: visualize the forces of greed, hatred, and apathy that destroy your community as a thick, black fog. Then, visualize the protector not as attacking people, but as a great, purifying wind, fierce, unwavering, unstoppable. Sweeping through that fog, clearing the air so that the natural light of the community's own goodness can shine through. For Daniel, this practice was transformative. It gave his righteous anger and frustration a sacred, symbolic outlet. Instead of feeling helpless or hating the oppressors, he channeled that fierce energy into a visualized force for purification. The protector became the embodiment of his own unwavering determination to clear the space for good to grow. It was compassion with teeth, and it allowed him to continue his work without being consumed by the darkness he fought. Then there is Palden Lamo, the fierce female protector of Tibet, who rides a mule across a sea of blood. She is a guardian of the Dharma and of the land itself. Historically, the state oracle of Tibet would be consulted on major decisions, a tradition channeling this protective wisdom. She represents a fierce, maternal protectiveness that will cross any ocean of trouble to defend what is sacred. What do people ask of these protectors? Protection from tangible enemies, from black magic, from negative influences, from inner demons of doubt and laziness, from obstacles that block spiritual progress or even worldly success in one's livelihood. Offerings are made to them, often ritual cakes called torma, or symbolic substances, not as bribes, but as acts of respectful relationship, of fueling the alliance. This layer completes a vital circuit. It acknowledges that the journey toward peace is not passive. It is an active voyage that sometimes requires defense. The Buddhas represent the ultimate destination of peace. The Bodhisattvas represent the compassionate aid along the way. The protectors represent the necessary guardianship for the voyage itself. They provide the psychological assurance that one is not walking the path naked and alone against all the chaotic, oppositional forces of samsara. They address the very human, very primal need for security and justice. But there is another, even more foundational layer beneath our feet. Before there were paths, or guardians, or even compassionate responders, there was the land. There were the local spirits of the tree, the spring, the mountain, the crossroads. And Buddhism, in its breathtaking adaptability, did not scorch this earth. It did not call these spirits false. Instead, it listened, and it offered them a role. This is the rich, humming soil of folk Buddhism, the layer of immediate belonging. Everywhere Buddhism spread, animism was already there. The spirit of the river that gave fish. The deity of the mountain that brought rain or storm. The ghost in the ancient banyan tree. Buddhism never sought to erase these relationships. It couldn't, and it didn't need to. Instead, it added a new, universal layer on top of these local realities. For the ultimate goal of liberation, follow the Buddha's teachings. But for the crops, for the health of your children, for safety on your journey tonight, maintain harmony with the spirits who have always governed this specific patch of earth. In Thailand, you see spirit houses everywhere, beautiful, miniature temples outside homes, hotels, and shopping malls, where daily offerings of water, flowers, and food are made. Buddhist monks are routinely called to bless these spirit houses. The practice isn't a corruption, it's an incorporation. It's Buddhism saying, your relationship with the land that feeds you and the unseen forces in your immediate environment is valid. Tend to it. Be a good neighbor. It addresses survival-level concerns. In Japan, this fusion became seamless. The practice of Shinbutsushugo blended Buddhist temples with Shinto shrines. A person might pray to Kannon for wisdom and compassion, and then pray to the kami of the local water source for a good harvest or safe childbirth. Different addresses for different needs. One is not more Buddhist than the other. They are different tools. I remember a conversation with a fisherman in a coastal Vietnamese village. On his small boat was a small altar. On it was a statue of Kwan Am, Guanyin, a photo of a local whale spirit revered by fishermen, and a modern safety certificate. I asked him about it. He said, Kwan Am understands suffering. She has a mother's heart for all of us out here. The whale spirit is the sea. He knows its moods, its secrets. I respect both. The certificate, that is for the port authority. He laughed. For him, there was no conflict. Kwan Am addressed the universal human condition of fear and hope. The whale spirit was the specific manager of his workplace, the ocean. Each relationship had its purpose. This folk layer also includes the hungry ghosts, the pretas. Beings pictured with huge empty bellies and needle throats, perpetually starving, representing insatiable greed and addiction. During Ghost Month in many traditions, communities lay out feasts for these unseen beings. They don't pray to them, they pray for them. This act of feeding the embodiment of endless hunger is a ritual of radical, unattached generosity. It also allows the living to care for ancestors who might have died with regret or trauma, healing connections across death. So now we see the architecture rising from the ground up. The folk layer, spirits, local deities, ancestors, provides rootedness and handles immediate, practical survival. The protector layer offers security and clears formidable obstacles. The bodhisattva layer provides compassionate relationship and specialized aid. And the bridges, teachers, masters, relics, give us human connection and proof. But what of the source? What of the ultimate architects, the perfected ones who embody not just a quality, but an entire state of being? That is where we must turn next, to the Buddhas themselves. Let us continue, and now lift our gaze to the summit. We have felt the soil of the land beneath us, met the guardians at the gate, been comforted by the compassionate responders, and inspired by human bridges. Now we arrive at the source of the light that casts all these shadows and shapes. We come to the Buddhas. It is crucial to understand, in the Buddhist view, a Buddha is not a god who created the world. A Buddha is a person who woke up. The historical Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, was a human being who, through his own effort and insight, discovered the nature of reality and the path out of suffering. He is the prototype, the proof of concept for every being. But in the expansive vision of Mahayana Buddhism, he is not the only one. The universe is vast and ancient, and countless beings across endless time have awakened. So, we have many Buddhas, each representing the full, complete awakening of a particular quality or aspect of reality. They are like perfect, brilliant facets cut from the same diamond of enlightenment. If the bodhisattvas are specialists in a department, compassion, wisdom, rescue, the Buddhas are the architects of entire realms of awakened experience. They don't just embody a quality. They preside over a Buddha field or pure land, a dimension or a state of mind perfected for the cultivation of that quality. Let us meet two of the most revered. First, Amitabha Buddha, the Buddha of infinite light and life. His domain is the Western Pure Land, Sukhavati, the land of bliss. His practice is astonishingly simple, yet profound, the sincere, mindful recitation of his name, Namo Amitabha Buddha. In Pure Land Buddhism, which flourished across China, Japan, Korea, and Vietnam, this devotion is the central path. The teaching, based on vows Amitabha made as a bodhisattva, promises that anyone who calls his name with trust and sincerity, especially at the moment of death, will be reborn in his pure land. This is not a heavenly reward for belief. It is understood as being drawn by the magnetic power of his infinite compassion into an environment perfectly designed for enlightenment. Free from the sufferings, distractions, and obstacles of our ordinary world. To the philosophical mind, this can sound like a Buddhist version of salvation by faith. And on the surface of lived devotion, for millions, it functions in a very similar psychological space. It offers immense hope. It provides a path for the ordinary person, the farmer, the shopkeeper, the parent overwhelmed with duties, who feels they could never sit in silent meditation for hours each day. It says, your sincere aspiration, your turning of the heart toward light, is enough. The compassion of the Buddha is vast enough to meet you exactly where you are. I recall speaking with an elderly woman in a temple in Taipei. She came every day to chant. When I asked her what it meant to her, she said, my life has been hard. Not enough money, family troubles, sickness. When I chant Amitabha, I am not just asking to go to his paradise when I die. I am cleaning my heart now. The sound is like a broom. It sweeps out the worry and the anger. For those few minutes, my mind is the pure land. Quiet. Bright. No suffering. For her, Amitabha was both a future refuge and a present method for inner purification. The prayer was the tool that constructed the reality it pointed toward. Second, Visajayaguru, the medicine Buddha. He is visualized as deep blue, the color of a healing lapis lazuli sky or a still, profound ocean. He holds a bowl of healing nectar. His pure land is in the east, described as a realm of perfect health, free from physical and mental illness. When modern medicine reaches its limit, when pain is chronic, when diagnosis is terrifying, people turn to the medicine Buddha. They visualize his radiant blue light, cool and soothing, permeating their own body or that of a loved one, dissolving illness, neutralizing poison, purifying the roots of disease. I witnessed the power of this not in a temple, but in a hospital waiting room. A young man sat, head in hands, while his father underwent emergency surgery. He was alone, vibrating with anxiety. An older woman, a stranger, sat nearby. She noticed his distress. Without a word, she took a small card from her purse, it was an image of the medicine Buddha, and placed it on the empty seat beside him. She gave a small, gentle nod and returned to her own silence. The young man looked at the card. He knew what it was. He picked it up, held it, and simply stared at the deep blue figure. Later, he told me he didn't know any mantras or visualizations. But in that moment, holding that image, he focused everything on the idea of healing light. He said, it gave my panic a job. Instead of just swirling around screaming, my mind had a single task, to imagine blue light going into that operating room. It didn't feel like begging. It felt like participating. The medicine Buddha became a focal point for his love and fear, transforming it from a paralyzing storm into a directed, healing intention. Whether it affected the surgery, he didn't know. But it unquestionably changed his experience of the ordeal. These Buddhas, and others like Vairocana, representing the ultimate, all-pervading truth, or Akshobhya, the unshakable, represent a complete spiritual pharmacy. You don't pray to a generic Buddha for generic help. You connect with the master architect of the specific quality you need. Need wisdom for a life decision? Contemplate the wisdom of all Buddhas. Facing mortality? Turn to Amitabha. Battling sickness? Visualize the medicine Buddha. The genius of this system is its specialization. Instead of one omnipotent deity who must be simultaneously wrathful judge and merciful parent, a paradox that often leaves devotees confused. Buddhism offers a committee of perfected beings, each a flawless embodiment of one aspect of awakening. And here we reach the critical, unifying insight of the philosophical layer, which has been present all along, like the sky above our entire journey. The ultimate teaching of Buddhism, the profound doctrine of emptiness, sunyata, states that all these beings, from the local land spirit to the cosmic Buddha, lack inherent, independent existence. They are not solid, eternal entities. They are interdependent, like images in a dream, or like waves on the ocean. They are skillful means, upaya, provisional realities created by wisdom out of compassion, to train and guide beings of different capacities. This is the atheistic heart that beats within the polytheistic body. The philosophical layer says, there is no creator. The self is a process, not a possession. Karma is cause and effect, not judgment. Liberation is self-realization, not salvation. And all the forms of devotion are ultimately empty. But this is not a negation. It is the final context. It means the medicine Buddha is not separate from your own capacity for healing. Amitabha is not other than the infinite light of your own aware mind. Guanyin is not outside of the compassion already in your heart. The practices are methods to help you recognize this. You pray to the medicine Buddha to awaken the healer within. You chant to Amitabha to recognize the purity of your own awareness. You bow to Guanyin to uncover your own limitless compassion. The prayer, in its deepest sense, is a training in recognition. It is a conversation you have with your own highest potential, using a form that your heart can understand and love, until the day the form dissolves, and only the recognition remains. The deity and the devotee are revealed as two sides of a single, luminous coin. But how do the major schools of Buddhism, Theravada, Mahayana, Vajrayana, navigate this beautiful tension between form and emptiness, between philosophy and practice? That is our next exploration. Let us continue, and weave the threads together. We have journeyed through the layers, from the soil of local spirits, past the fierce protectors, alongside the compassionate bodhisattvas, to the luminous Buddhas themselves, all held within the sky of philosophical emptiness. Now, we must see how these layers are worn. How do the living traditions of Buddhism actually arrange this magnificent tapestry? The answer lies in understanding the three great vehicles, or schools, not as competitors, but as three different master weavers using the same brilliant threads to create distinct, yet harmonious, patterns. First, let us sit in the clear, still space of Theravada, often called the school of the elders. This is the path prevalent in Sri Lanka, Thailand, Myanmar, Laos, and Cambodia. Here, the philosophical layer is the official, dominant melody. The emphasis is on self-reliance, on the individual's direct effort through meditation, especially vipassana, or insight meditation, and meticulous ethical discipline. The ideal is the arhat, the one who liberates themselves through their own unwavering effort and wisdom. The core texts, the Pali Canon, offer a clear, structured path. In this light, the historical Buddha is primarily the supreme teacher, the discoverer of the path, not a divine intercessor. But to think Theravada is devoid of devotion is to misunderstand it profoundly. Devotion is present, but its frame is different. It is often called Buddhanussati, the recollection of the Buddha's qualities. Chanting the Paritta Suttas is not seen as casting magic spells, but as bathing the mind in the protective power of truthful, wholesome words. Making offerings at the temple generates merit, punna, a positive mental force that supports and cushions one's meditation practice. The offerings are not to feed a god, but to cultivate the mental quality of generosity, weakening the grip of greed. And the folk layer? It is vibrantly, unapologetically alive. In Myanmar, you will find Nat, spirit, shrines on the very grounds of Buddhist monasteries. The monks understand. The people's relationship with these local spirits governs their daily fears about crops, health, and safety. In Thailand, the spirit house is ubiquitous, and monks are routinely called to bless them. Protective amulets bearing images of revered monks are a vast cultural phenomenon. The attitude is one of pragmatic inclusion. The ultimate goal is nibbana, a transcendent freedom. But for daily peace, for a good harvest, for protection from accidents, you maintain good relationships with the local forces. There is little sense of contradiction. These are different spheres of activity, different tools for different needs. The farmer does not use a philosophical insight to ask for rain, he makes an offering to the spirit of the pond. But he uses the Buddha's teachings to find peace when the rain does not come. Now, let us travel to the expansive plains of Mahayana, the great vehicle, dominant in China, Japan, Korea, and Vietnam. Here, the devotional layer is not just supported, it is openly embraced and celebrated as a valid, powerful path unto itself. The central ideal shifts from the arhat to the bodhisattva, the being who postpones their own final peace to work for the liberation of all. This pivot makes room for the heart's longing. Mahayana introduces the profound doctrine of upaya. Skillful means. This is the concept that the Buddha, and all enlightened beings, manifest in countless forms, using countless methods, to meet beings at their own level. A children's story, a complex philosophy, a serene statue, a wrathful protector, all are equally valid if they guide someone away from suffering. Within Mahayana, schools specialize. Pure Land Buddhism makes devotion to Amitabha Buddha the central, all-sufficient practice. It is the path of faith, offering hope and a simple method to everyone. Zen Buddhism presents a beautiful paradox. It has the famous saying, if you meet the Buddha on the road, kill him, a fierce warning against clinging to any form, even the Buddha. Yet, Zen monasteries are filled with ritual, precise bows, rhythmic chanting, ceremonial tea, deep reverence for lineage ancestors. The practice is to use the form to go beyond the form. The bow is not to an external Buddha. It is the expression of gratitude and the letting go of the self that bows. The chant is not a plea, it is a vehicle to empty the mind. Here, the philosophical doctrine of emptiness, sunyata, becomes the ultimate justification for the proliferation of forms. Precisely because all things are empty of solid, independent existence, the compassionate ones can freely appear as anything, a multi-armed bodhisattva, a simple name, a Zen koan, to shatter our fixed views. The many Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are like reflections of the moon on 10,000 different ponds. The reflections are countless, but the moon is one. The forms are myriad, but the awakening they point to is singular. Finally, let us ascend to the high, vivid peaks of Vajrayana, the diamond vehicle, the Buddhism of Tibet. To an outsider, this looks the most religious, the most like a full-blown theistic system. Its pantheon is vast and spectacular. Hundreds of deities in peaceful and wrathful forms, with elaborate iconography, intricate rituals, and complex visualizations. It seems the very antithesis of a philosophy of no God. But Vajrayana does something radical. It doesn't just accept devotion, it uses it as a high-speed vehicle to realize the philosophy. The key practice is deity yoga. This is not praying to a deity. This is a staged process of becoming the deity. First, you visualize the deity, like Tara or Avalokiteshvara, in front of you in perfect detail. Then, you invite their wisdom to merge with that visualization. Then, you dissolve the visualization into yourself, and you rest in the identification as that enlightened being. You see through their eyes of compassion, you act from their wisdom. Finally, even that identification dissolves into the spacious emptiness from which it arose. You don't inflate the ego. You replace the limited self-image with an enlightened template, and then let that template vanish, leaving only pure, aware presence. In this view, the entire universe, with all its apparent deities and demons, is a display of the mind's own luminous, empty nature. The wrathful protector is not an external spirit, but the fierce, clarifying energy of your own wisdom, personified to help you work with it. The practice is alchemical, it takes the raw lead of ordinary perception, our tendency to see things as solid and separate, and uses the intense fire of devotion and visualization to transmute it into the gold of non-dual awareness. Vajrayana doesn't see a gap between philosophy and practice, it sees elaborate practice as the fastest path to realizing the philosophy. So, we have three weavers. Theravada weaves a tapestry where the ultimate thread of self-reliance is strongest, but the practical threads of devotion and folk practice provide essential color and strength. Mahayana weaves a tapestry where the threads of compassion and skillful means are boldly featured, creating intricate patterns of bodhisattvas and pure lands, all held by the background thread of emptiness. Vajrayana weaves a tapestry of stunning, vivid complexity, where every thread, even the darkest or most fierce, is understood from the start to be made of the same luminous material, designed to reveal the weaver's own enlightened nature. All three contain all three layers. Folk, devotional, philosophical. They simply balance them differently, emphasizing various aspects of the same profound truth, that the human journey from suffering to freedom requires tools for the body, the heart, and the mind. The local spirit addresses the body's fear. The bodhisattva answers the heart's cry. The Buddha embodies the mind's liberation. And the philosophy of no self and emptiness is the space in which all of it dances, finally free. But how does this dance look in a single life, in a single day, of a single person? How do the layers coexist without conflict in the heart of a practitioner? That is our next, and most intimate, exploration. Let us continue, and bring this vast architecture home. Let us see how these layers do not exist in separate temples or books, but breathe together in a single human life. To understand this, we must step out of the general and into the specific, into the rhythm of a day, the quiet habits of a heart that has grown up within this tapestry. Imagine a woman named May. She lives in modern Taipei. She is an architect, a mother of two, a daughter caring for aging parents. Her life is a symphony of deadlines, school meetings, subway commutes, and the soft hum of the refrigerator at night. And within this life, Buddhism is not a separate category marked religion. It is the grammar of her being, the different languages she uses to speak to different levels of her world. Her day begins in the half-light of dawn. Before the city's roar fully awakens, she goes to a small alcove in her apartment. Here is her family altar, a butsudan. On its polished wood sit photographs of her father and mother, who passed away. There is a small, serene statue of Guanyin. Above it, on a high shelf, is a kamedana. A tiny Shinto shelf holding a sacred rope and a dish of fresh water, for the household kami, the spirits of the place. This morning, May lights a single stick of sandalwood incense at the butsudan. The smoke curls upward, a silent, fragrant question mark in the still air. She places her hands together. She does not speak her prayers aloud, but inwardly offers gratitude to her ancestors, asks for their watchful care over her children today. She then offers a silent word to Guanyin, asking not for a specific outcome, but for the patience and spaciousness to handle a difficult client meeting later. She then bows slightly to the kamedana, renewing the daily contract of harmony with the unseen protectors of her home. This ritual takes 3 minutes. In those 3 minutes, she has engaged all 3 layers, the folk, ancestors, household spirits, the devotional, prayer to Guanyin, and the philosophical, the gratitude and intention are themselves practices rooted in the understanding of impermanence and interconnection. She is not confused. She is fluent. She is sending different letters to different addresses, each necessary for the wholeness of her life. Later, during her lunch break, the stress of her project crystallizes into a tight knot in her shoulders. Instead of scrolling on her phone, she slips into a quiet Zen temple a few blocks from her office. She pays the small entrance fee, bows at the gate, and enters the meditation hall. For 20 minutes, she sits in zazen, just sitting. She follows her breath, noting the rise and fall of her anxiety about the client, the tension in her neck, the sounds of the city beyond the garden wall. She lets them all arise and pass without attachment. This is pure layer 1, philosophical practice. Direct insight into the empty, fleeting nature of her stress. No self to be stressed, just sensations appearing and vanishing. After sitting, her mind quieter, she walks to the main hall. She bows to the central Buddha statue, lights another stick of incense, and places a coin in the offering box. This is layer 2, a devotional gesture of respect, of humility, of connecting to a lineage that stretches back through her teacher, and his teacher, all the way to the Buddha himself. In one lunch hour, she has moved from the silent, formless meditation of Zen to the formal, embodied devotion of temple ritual. Both are authentic. One unravels the knot, the other places the unraveled threads into a pattern of meaning. Evening arrives. Her youngest child has a fever. She gives medicine, places a cool cloth on his forehead. As he drifts into a fitful sleep, she sits by his bed. She holds his small, warm hand and very softly, almost inaudibly, begins to chant the mantra of the medicine Buddha. In her mind, she visualizes the deep, soothing blue light of Baisajayaguru surrounding her son, seeping into his skin, cooling the heat, bringing peace. She is not rejecting medicine. She is supplementing it with the medicine of the mind, directing her worry into a channel of healing intention. Later, checking her phone, she sees a news alert about an earthquake in another province. A pang of fear for the strangers there grips her. She closes her eyes for a moment, touches the jade guanine pendant at her neck, and whispers, Namo Guanine Pusa, dedicating her concern to the ocean of compassion in the world, asking that it flow to those in need. Before bed, she checks the lock on the door and touches the ofuda, the Shinto talisman, stuck to the frame, a final gesture of securing the boundary between her sleeping family and the unknown night. May's day is a living mandala. The philosophical layer, meditation, provides the ultimate perspective and inner peace. The devotional layer, prayers to Guanine, medicine Buddha, provides emotional connection, moral direction, and a way to transmute fear into focused compassion. The folk layer, ancestor reverence, household kami, protective talismans, provides a sense of rootedness, familial continuity, and immediate, local security. She does not use a philosophical screwdriver to address the emotional need to comfort her sick child, she uses the devotional tool of the medicine Buddha visualization. She does not use folk rituals to understand the nature of reality, she uses meditation. This seamless integration is the lived truth of Buddhism across Asia. A renowned Thai meditation master may still wear a protective amulet blessed by his own teacher. The Dalai Lama, a Nobel laureate and profound philosopher, deeply venerates the protector Palden Lamo and engages in elaborate deity yoga practices. The layers are not stages where you graduate, leaving the lower behind. They are concurrent, interdependent levels of engagement. They are the different voices in a healthy psyche, the voice that worries about practical safety, folk. The voice that seeks love and meaning, devotional, and the voice that inquires into ultimate truth, philosophical. Remove any layer, and the system becomes unbalanced, and for many, unusable. Remove the folk layer, and Buddhism risks becoming unrooted, a universal philosophy floating above the specific, gritty realities of place, family, and survival. Remove the devotional layer, and it risks becoming a dry, cerebral exercise, an ascetic psychology lacking the warmth, community, and emotional fuel that sustains practice through life's inevitable hardships. Remove the philosophical layer, and it risks devolving into mere superstition or comforting ritual, without the liberating direction of wisdom and emptiness that leads out of suffering entirely. The health and resilience of the tradition lie in this dynamic, creative tension. It is a system designed for the whole human being, a being who must eat, who must love, who must one day face death, and who, in the quietest moments, wonders what any of it really means. Now, having seen the theory and the daily practice, let us deepen our understanding with a few more original stories, each a window into how these layers function in unique lives, addressing specific human dilemmas. Let us continue and listen to more stories. These are tales of how the layers of Buddhism, the folk, the devotional, the philosophical, are not abstract concepts but living responses to the particular aches and longings of the human heart. Each story is a different door into the same vast mansion. Story 1: The Gardener and the Soil of the Gods. In a quiet suburb of Portland, Oregon lived a man named Arjun, a first-generation immigrant from South India. He was a software engineer by trade, but his soul lived in his backyard garden, a lush, chaotic patch of tomatoes, beans, and fragrant curry leaf plants his mother had smuggled as a seedling. At the garden's edge, beneath a sprawling maple, was a simple flat stone. Every Saturday before weeding or harvesting, Arjun would place a fresh marigold on it and sprinkle a few grains of raw rice. His American neighbors thought it was a quirky art piece. But for Arjun it was an altar to the Vanadevata, the spirit of the grove, an idea from the village his grandparents had left behind. He also had a small meditation cushion in his study where he practiced mindfulness of breath, a technique he learned from a book by a Vietnamese Zen master. When asked how these fit, he said, "The meditation is for my mind. It helps me with the stress of my job, with my anger in traffic. It's about me. The stone is for the garden. It's not about me at all. It's about thanking this piece of earth, this tree, for letting me be here. It's about remembering I am a guest." One practice clears the inner weather. The other honors the outer weather. Both are about right relationship. For Arjun, the folk layer, the spirit stone, maintained a sacred bond with place, while the philosophical layer, mindfulness, managed the inner landscape. He felt no need to merge them, each had its jurisdiction. Story 2: The Dancer and the Wrathful Muse. Isabelle was a contemporary dance choreographer in Montreal, a woman of fierce passion and equally fierce self-doubt. She was conceptualizing a piece about breaking cycles of inherited trauma. The creative process was stuck, every movement felt derivative, polite. Her therapist suggested she get angry in a healthy way, but Isabelle didn't know how. A Tibetan Buddhist friend, seeing her struggle, mentioned the practice of Vajrayogini, a fierce dancing wisdom deity who cuts through illusion with her crescent blade. Intrigued, Isabelle began to research, not as a devotee but as an artist. She didn't do formal visualizations. Instead, she spent days in her studio imagining the energy of Vajrayogini, not a goddess to pray to but an archetype of unstoppable transformative feminine power. She let that imagined energy move her body. The choreography that emerged was raw, powerful, and utterly original. Isabelle later said, "I didn't convert. I borrowed a mask. I needed to become something fearless to express my own fear." That deity was just a name for a particular voltage of creative courage I couldn't access under my own name. For her, a figure from the devotional protector layer became a psychological tool, a skillful means to unlock a blocked part of her own artistic spirit. Story 3: The Librarian and the Pure Land of Stories. Mrs. Henderson was a retired librarian in a small Midwestern town, a woman of quiet routines. She had no interest in Eastern philosophy, but in her 70s she developed a fascination with Japanese Jisei death poems. This led her to the writings of Shinran, the founder of Jodo Shinshu, true Pure Land Buddhism. The idea captivated her that enlightenment was not a mountain to climb but a gift to be received through saying the name Nembutsu with a heart of gratitude. She began simply to say Namo Amida Butsu to herself while shelving books at the volunteer library, while watering her roses, while waiting for the kettle to boil. She didn't believe in a literal paradise in the West. For her, the practice was about something else. All my life, she said, I've helped people find the right story. The Nembutsu for me is the right story for the end. It's a story where I am not the heroine struggling but a character being gently inevitably folded back into the plot of everything. It's a story of trust. The devotional practice of Pure Land gave her a narrative framework for aging and mortality, one of grace rather than conquest. She prayed not to a Buddha out there but to the plotline of compassionate resolution itself. Story for the veteran and the bridge of knotted string. Leo, the retired Marine we met earlier, found his way not just to Jizo but to a surprising folk practice. At the same Zen center, an older Japanese-American woman taught him how to make knotting prayers. Using simple hemp string, she showed him how to tie a complex repeating knot. With each pull and twist, she said, you can pour a thought into it. A regret. A name. A hope. It doesn't disappear, but it gets held in the pattern. Leo, whose mind was often a battlefield of flashbacks, found the physical repetitive action deeply calming. He began making long knotted cords. One knot for a friend lost. Another for a moment of fear he couldn't shake. Another for the civilian he couldn't help. He didn't assign them to a deity. He hung the finished cords in his workshop. They're not prayers sent to anyone, he explained. They're prayers made solid. They're like external hard drives for my memories. Once they're out here tied up, my mind feels a little clearer in here. This was folk magic meeting therapeutic need. The ritual action itself, the making of a tangible pattern object, became the vehicle for his devotional intention of release and remembrance, creating a bridge between his inner chaos and a sense of outer order. Story 5. The Scientist and the Empty Lab. Dr. Eris Thorne was a physicist, a staunch materialist. He attended a lecture on Buddhist philosophy and was struck by the logical rigor of the arguments for emptiness and dependent origination. He began a daily meditation practice, valuing its clarity and focus. When his colleague, a Tibetan Buddhist, invited him to a puja ritual ceremony, he went out of anthropological curiosity. He watched the monks chant, blow horns, make intricate offerings to visualize deities. To him it seemed like pure superstition, the very antithesis of the clean philosophy he admired. Afterward he confronted his friend. How can you, a rational man, engage in this? His friend smiled. You see the ritual as a model of the universe, like your equations. But you think the point is whether the model is literally true. For us the point is what the model does. The chanting synchronizes the community's breath and intention. The complex visualizations are cognitive exercises that train focus and compassion on a level words cannot. The offerings are practices of non-attachment. The deity is a variable in a psychological equation whose solution is a state of mind. Your science uses tools to probe outer space. We use these tools to probe inner space. Neither tool is true in itself, its truth is in the data it reveals. For the first time, Eris saw the devotional layer not as a primitive belief but as a complementary technology, a technology of the heart and community as sophisticated in its domain as a particle accelerator was in his. These stories show the layers in action. They are not about correct belief, but about functional wisdom. The folk practice roots, the devotional practice connects and transforms, the philosophical practice liberates. They are different languages spoken to address different kinds of silence. Now, we must come to our final contemplation. Having mapped the mansion, walked its rooms, and met its inhabitants, we must now ask the ultimate, quietest question: what, in the very deepest sense, is actually happening when a Buddhist prays? Let us complete our journey. We have wandered through the lush, varied landscape of Buddhist practice. From the spirit houses in the soil to the philosophical peaks piercing the sky. We have met the guardians, the responders, the architects, and the bridges. We have seen how these layers intertwine in a single life, a single day, a single breath. Now, we arrive at the quietest room, the innermost chamber where all sound eventually settles. Here, we ask the final, simplest question: what, in its essence, is a Buddhist prayer? If we listen closely, past the words of the chant, past the gesture of the bow, past the smoke of the incense, we may hear not a request, but a recognition. Not a plea sent out, but a quality tuned within. Consider the act of bowing to a statue of the Buddha. On the surface, it is devotion to an external figure. But follow the movement inward. The body folds. The proud, separate I lowers itself. The forehead, the seat of identity and worry, touches the ground. The ultimate symbol of humility, of groundedness. What is being cultivated? Not the glorification of the statue, but the softening of the ego. The prayer is in the bow itself. It is a physical mantra that says, I am not the center. I am part of something vast. Consider the chant, Namo Amitabha Buddha. The sound vibrates in the chest, occupies the tongue, fills the ears. It pulls the scattered mind, worrying about the past, anxious about the future, into a single, present moment sonic point. The mind cannot chant the name and simultaneously weave a tale of resentment. The prayer is in the chant itself. It is not just calling to a Buddha of infinite light, it is clearing a space in the mind's attic where that infinite light, which was always there, can be noticed. In the deepest traditions, particularly in the advanced practices of Vajrayana or the radical non-duality of Zen, this truth becomes explicit. The prayer culminates in its own disappearance. The devotee and the deity, the prayer and the prayed to, are realized to be two temporary roles appearing in one awareness. Like an actor who becomes so immersed in a role that he forgets he is acting, only to remember again when the curtain falls, the practitioner uses the form of prayer to achieve a state where the sense of a separate prayer dissolves. What remains is the quality that was being prayed to: boundless compassion, radiant peace, empty clarity. The tool is used, and then set down. This is the middle way of devotion. It avoids the eternalist extreme: there is a solid, external God who hears and answers. It also avoids the nihilist extreme: there is nothing sacred, so all prayer is foolishness. It walks the razor's edge: the forms are real enough to love and engage with, transforming your heart. And they are empty enough to finally let go of, liberating your mind. The prayer works because it changes you. It reorients your mind stream, shapes your karma, opens your heart. It does not work by bending a divine will to your own. So, who are they praying to? They are praying to the spirit of the land, to remember they belong to it. They are praying to the teacher, to remember the path is walkable. They are praying to the bodhisattva, to resonate with the compassion already sleeping in their own breast. They are praying to the Buddha, to align with the awakened nature that is their own fundamental mind. They are praying to the protector, to summon the fierce courage needed to face their own inner shadows. The entire magnificent pantheon, from the gentle kami of a household shelf to the cosmic Vairocana, is a hall of mirrors. You walk through it, seeing different reflections, a face of perfect compassion here, a face of fierce protection there, a face of serene wisdom beyond. You pray to the reflections, you make offerings to them, you learn their names. And slowly, through the relationship, you begin to recognize the qualities in the reflections as your own. You are not praying to the mirror. You are polishing the mirror of your own heart by attending to it with love and respect. And one day, in a moment of utter clarity, you see the mirror itself, empty, bright, and capable of reflecting everything without being stained by any of it. That is the secret. Buddhist prayer is less theology and more therapy of the soul. It is less about metaphysics and more about metaphor made alive. The beings are perfect metaphors for the perfected potentials within us. We engage with the metaphor so wholeheartedly that we eventually step through it, into the reality it represents. This is why Buddhism can comfortably hold what looks like a contradiction. It is simultaneously atheistic, no creator God. Non-theistic, ultimate reality is beyond concepts of God or no God, and polytheistic, a multitude of revered, conscious beings. It is not a system of beliefs about the universe. It is a vast toolbox of experiments for the human heart-mind. The scientist does not argue whether a telescope or a microscope is the true instrument. She uses the tool appropriate for the question she is asking. Buddhism offers the folk tool for the question of local harmony. It offers the devotional tool for the question of the heart's longing and moral shape. It offers the philosophical tool for the question of ultimate truth. And so, when you see that woman in northern Thailand lighting incense in her garden, or the pilgrim in Tibet prostrating before a golden statue, or the businessman in Tokyo whispering a mantra on the train, do not see a puzzle. See a person using an ancient, sophisticated, and compassionate technology. They are not talking to a God in the way the West has defined it. They might be in a long, loving conversation with their own future awakening. They are practicing the relationship, with the earth, with compassion, with wisdom, until they realize they are that relationship. The prayer ends where it began, in silence. But it is a different silence. It is the silence after a beautiful piece of music has ended, where the notes are gone but the shape of the melody still hangs in the air, now a part of you. It is the silence of the bow completed, where the one who bowed and the one who was bowed to have both vanished, leaving only the graceful arc of reverence itself, hanging in empty space. Thank you for walking this long, quiet path with me here at Monk's Temple. If these reflections have brought any light, any sense of understanding or peace, consider subscribing. It is a simple way to leave a candle lit in this shared space, a signal that the conversation can continue. May the merit of our exploration together, however you understand that word, contribute in some small way to your own path of wisdom and compassion. Good night.